My name's Glowbox. I love this game. However, I only like the PvE part of it. I never got into the PvP in this game. It's not a good experience. I'm close to 3,000 hours now, and I don't AFK in the city overnight. I have a laptop. I can't really do that. For the first 1,000 hours before Talandra came out, I played Staff Wand, and around the end of the tier 1 I played some Fury, but it was mostly just for testing because I was so bored of Staff Wand. Until about 500 hours ago, that's usually what I played, Staff 1. And after acquiring more weapon mastery from events and stuff, I was able to pick up bow and crossbow as a third and fourth weapon. So the reason why I want to play multiple classes is to get better at the game in PvE and in raids. Being able to fill more roles is actually really fun. And if you're wondering about the outfit, it's supposed to be Ubanai from Demon Slayer, the Snack Hashira. What I like to do in this game is mostly just test stuff. I can sit for hours just testing like how things work. This game has enough of these trust me bro guys that they tell you how things works, and then they heard it from some guy, and that guy heard it from some guy, and then you just trust them, and then suddenly you see that it doesn't really work that way, and then you can't really blame anyone else but yourself. So if I ever say some information, I'll either let you know where I heard it, or I'll let you know this is a trust me bro moment. It was mostly just find out how things works and just having fun in tier 1 especially. There was nothing to do. We do run a Discord. We started this Discord like maybe a month ago. Yeah, around a month ago. So along with some friends, including kingkronicks and Parry, which now is iChrome13. There was already another Discord called Raids, but there was no guarantee that your group could even do it. So we did it a bit differently. We started to verify people. So there's a ticket system where you can make a ticket, and a class leader or me would sit down for 5 minutes, but usually it's over an hour because you'd be surprised on how little people actually know. But it's not their fault. This game is spaghetti coded. This Discord was mainly for socializing, but right now we're using it for hardcore raids, like the difficult one, and trials, and we had some people transferring servers to deal with the events. Right, we split up into different guilds. And then we're preparing for the nightmare. It's gonna be a bit difficult, but we kind of figured out a way to set up the teams to make the best team possible. And that's also what the Discord is mostly about, is the knowledge of PvE. We come together and we challenge each other. The Discord is open for everyone, but only verified people are usually picked for raid groups. It depends on who's leading the raid, but usually it's just verified people. And to get verified, all you have to do is to make a ticket. Getting verified is just the gear, the masteries and the runes usually. Has nothing to do with your skill level or if you've done the raid or if you know the tactics. It's just the gear. So if we wipe, it's because of a skill issue, not the gear. So I can show a little bit what I have. So this is my Sonic build. It's my super fast build to do stuff like goblin events, get to Pakilo super fast. It's usually just for fun. And then I have all the Wildkin sets, all the invocator sets is Wildkin, Undead, Demon. I do have 2-piece Void. And then I also have the Sacred set. Always the Spectral. Just mostly to test, to see if how things were. And then I have some Fury. I was testing some Fury. This doesn't work. Too low attack speed. This is usually what I use for Fury, but not the 4 set. That was pretty bad. So the 4 set here gives you 2 wisdom, skill damage boost, but it's not worth it because you lose too much attack speed. I tested some crossbow, Queen Bellandir. Tested with the Yakman. Yakman is better. It depends on what build you go. Yeah, usually. And then I play xbow bow. Terrible, not terrible, the horrible class to play. It's so hard. So it has to be the hardest class to play. I do play lib. Very challenging. Really challenging class. The skill ceiling of it's very, very high. I mean, you can play it and just click buttons. That's okay too. Crossbow staff, very hard class to play. But super OP. Right now, it's actually probably the top 3 most broken classes. But yeah, and these doesn't really work. I wish they did. I don't know what they're for. So about my masteries, this is what I have so far. I have longbow, staff, 1 at 200, getting to crossbow to 200 so I can play different stuff. I haven't really played healer. That's one thing. I haven't played healer. So yeah, this video was going to be an introduction about myself first, and then I'll make this video about how to set up a raid team, like a really good raid team, what each classes pull to the team. And yeah, I was gonna try to make everything into one clip so I don't have to cut anything out. So I can start with the stats. All stats, except for a few stats like buff duration and offhand activation chance. There's a few stats that doesn't have a diminishing return, but all stats, as you can see, cooldown speed 87%, but it says 46.524. So all stats has a diminishing return. So 500 is 33%, 1000 is 50%, 1500 is 60%, 2000 is 66.667%. And most things like skill damage boost, like critical hit chance, heavy attack chance, cooldown speed, mana cost efficiency, they all follow this same scaling. So you should never go above 1500 or in this case 150%. You lose too much. The last 50% or the last 500, it only gives you 6%. There are some stats like critical hit chance that we aim for the 2000. But for you, for raid, so before I continue, these stats that I always aim for is for raids. It is to build your character to be in a raid group. So 1500 crit is max, because you will be provided at least 2 marks. And each mark is going to give you around 300, depends on back attacks, 300 critical. So we can say like 500 extra at minimum. So once you get to 1500, that's it. That's maximum. Heavy attack, same thing, but we go for 1500. There's spear gonna give you 140, but most heavy attack is gonna come from the chaos runes. So you'll end up at around 1500-ish. You can gain a little bit more and then maybe remove the Pakilo ring or remove yeah, usually just a Pakilo ring. Okay, so mana region is more class thing. It's more of a class. You should have around 1400 as an invocator at least. But this really depends on the skills. I won't go into it right now. Cooldown speed is about at 60% and above. Attack speed also depends on the class, 56. But you need insane attack speed for this. I do run with attack speed. Not because it's better on invocator, but because it's better on all the classes I play. Like liberator. And yeah. Mana cost efficiency is an amazing stat for some. It's a horrible stat for others. Invocators hate this stat because you want to get to 30%. You want to get to that extra 60%. Show right now. This increases the mana region by 60% when the user's mana is 30% or less. That means that you are gaining more mana region on the projectile attacks on manable eruptions. Let's see, hit chance for PvE. 600 basic attack, usually 600, but that's fine. Don't think about hit at all. You get some food, get some boss hit from the food we use. Critical 1500, heavy 1500, skill damage boost. You will just go as far as you can into this. It's very hard to hit the cap. Say it's 1500, there's no way. Critical damage is normal. This is percentage is the same as healers, as healing. This is critical healing, but it just says healing. It acts like critical healing. It is amplified by healing received of your target. Buff duration. It has to be one of the most broken stats in the game. Absolute broken. Why this doesn't have diminishing returns beats me. So buff duration is insanely strong. If you have enough buff duration, your high focus can last forever. And with high focus, which is a staff skill, you now have 60% more cooldown by just having enough buff duration. And if you click it again before the duration ends, the cooldown will add to the cooldown. So instead of 22, it will be more like 16. The rest, so debuff duration doesn't matter for PvE. I don't think it matters. There is nothing a boss can hit you with that is not going to stun you for the same amount as the other guy. Skill damage resistance, same scaling. insane for PvE. That's why I usually let people run with the cloak. Most people that play PvP on the offside, or main PvP, they usually go with the cloak, and the cloak is actually pretty good for the skill damage resistance because we have so little of it. And HP, you should be about 20k for raids. We don't know yet for Nightmare, but might be more, might be less. Max mana, it's a one stat. Don't think anyone else but the one wants to use this. There is some argument for a liberator who can 100% uptime their Nature's Blessing, but they are very few. So this is very little, it's barely anything. It is better to just run 1 point here for the 20%. Just put something else in. Which brings me to defense. And defense has a different scaling than anything else. When I edit this clip, I will add to the video from Aragon. I can put this link to his channel below. This scaling is the defense and so one picture was for a lot of defense, and one picture is up until 5,000, I think. So in a raid, you will gain Blessed Barrier, and Blessed Barrier will give you, let's see, the Blessed Barrier will give you 2,000 defense. So usually we are at 3,000 defense. It will pop up to 5,000. And yeah, it's pretty strong. It's gonna help you survive. So aim for 3,000 defense. No matter what you play, aim for 3,000 defense. You can achieve this by your off piece. You can get defense in your off piece. It's actually very, very, very strong. For PvE, we don't go strength. The only reason to go strength is if perception and everything else is, if dex is 99, wisdom is 99, perception is at +2. Like you can see here, you don't want to spend more than 2 points, only when you see it. So when it costs more. And then, yeah, there is like, if you're at 29, sure, go to 30 for the extra health. But other than that, it's not worth it. 50 for the extra 100 heavy attack. You're gonna cap out anyways on chaos runes. It's fine. So yeah, I'm thinking, is there anything else? Oh yeah, base damage. So base damage, max damage is when you crit. And heavy attack is double that amount. Damage over time, however, deals the average damage. It's not going to be 615 if you hit a curse. It's going to be whatever is in the middle. And then it's going to add to the crit that you have. And the same goes for healing. If you have a bow, if you're a healer, your flash wave healing over time is going to be the average. That is why most healers that go healing over time build, they don't go for crit, they go for heavy. Because it's going to be the average. I'll start off with the first buff you're looking for in a group, and that is the SNS. The SNS has Bastion. It is 114 skill damage boost with the Righteous Fury, or damage reduction. Yeah, damage reduction is pretty bad, but the skill damage boost is really good. However, you do need one. You need an SNS for the raid. And you want your tank to be equipped with the greatsword, because the greatsword, it has blood devotion. Blood devotion is super broken right now, because it gives everyone 10% increased base damage. So for a dagger, this might not be much. It used to be 50. So if you had 500 base damage, it's kind of the same right now. But if you have 1,000 base damage now, you just got doubled. Like this was buffed like beyond. This is so strong. You're getting over 100 base damage. As of right now, the only person that can actually use this is the tank, because it doesn't buff himself. It only buffs your teammates, and if someone doesn't block or gets hit by anything, the person is dead. And then they have the second best buff in the game, Willbreaker. So Willbreaker reduces defense, and I'll talk a little bit more about this a bit later after the buffs. Da Vinci gives 15% attack speed, along with your food buffs that gives 3% each, 2 of them, so that's 6 in total. So 21% attack speed. So whenever you look at your attack speed, you can add 21% to that value. The spear has heavy attack. Dagger, they have a really insane debuff, and it's for their poison. Oh, it's not this. It is here. It reduces the target's defenses by 152, so a flat amount, 100% uptime for classes that can basic attack the target with poisons. Wand, they gain, when we were not talking about so a healer has blessed barrier. It has debuff on the target, time for punishment, and if you didn't know, let's see, this hourglass says increases curse duration by 3.3 seconds. Now this is a curse. Time for punishment is a curse. You change it to a buff, it still has the 3.3 seconds. So if we do enchanting time, 27 seconds, which is actually pretty insane. And then we remove this. It was 27 seconds. Now it's 22 because you don't have the 3.3 curse duration. And it's not a curse, but spaghetti code. So the healer will use the time for punishment because it reduces the target's skill damage resistance by 220. Each DPS, like invocators, furies, they will use enchanting time. And because it lasts so long, they can use enchanting time on themselves and another person. And a fury can actually use it on a third guy. Or if you have enough buff duration as an invocator, you can use it on a third guy. So having a wand user is actually pretty strong because you're not only getting the DPS from that class, you're buffing another one, like a liberator with 220 skill damage boost. And then you have Janice Rage. Janice Rage is being used by healers. Don't have to use this as a fury, which I see a lot of dummy builds do. It's used by healers because they don't really use clay. It gives 6% base damage. It's pretty good, pretty good. Staff is simply just a DPS. There is an argument that they can use this AoE, but it doesn't stack with the regular high focus. So unless it's the healer or you don't have enough staff users in the party, run the AoE. if you have a lot of staff users, it's better off to just use the high focus. It's better that your liberator has 60% cooldown speed, and then your melees or tank or healer get some cooldown, or the non-staff users. But yeah, staff, pure DPS. The same with spear. It's spear and staff are pure DPS, except for the exception of this AoE and the heavy attack, if your group needs heavy attack. But don't get me wrong, the staff and spear are absolute monsters in DPS. Crossbows, weak point shot. So it's 21% crit damage, or 24% crit damage if it's attacked from behind, and you will always attack from behind because of this. While active, while Selfless Diffusion is active, it's a buff. This is always active in raids. All your attacks is considered the most advantageous directional attack, which is back attacks. So all crossbow users can stand anywhere. You can place them anywhere in the raid and they'll get back attacks. And some classes can push this. For example, crossbow staff. They can hold this for an infinite amount of time. Your whole team can get crit damage for the whole duration of the fight. And I believe crossbow daggers can do the same. But that's a trust me bro moment, because I haven't seen it myself. There might be furies that can also do this. But again, trust me bro. So the next is bow. Deadly marker. Probably the most broken buff in the game. It reduces everyone's cooldowns by 50%. When you put it on the target, it doesn't matter who put it on, it's 100x uses. You cannot see this. You just have to look at your skills and have a feel for it. Once your team has crit 100 times, everyone's cooldowns has gone down by 50%, and then you need to put another mark on the target by using Blitz or having the healer do it, or the lib. I am still not sure until this day, because I believe they changed this multiple times just this month. Like, this skill has been changed so many times. It used to be so broken. It does give you critical hit chance too, and 360 when attacking from side or back. So there you go, crossbow users. They get 720. Yes, 720. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, they do also give you Nature's Blessing. This lowers the mana regen cap. We talked about mana ball eruptions. Let's see. The mana ball eruption, which every 1000 mana regen, you're gonna get 24% more chance to hit a mana ball eruption. This mana ball eruption can crit and will proc the mark. So that's why staff is so good for procking the mark. The cap is around 1,450. Maybe 1,450 before this procs. At a 60%, you'll be up at 3,950 or 3,850. I'll put the correct value on the screen. So that's when you get 100%. This does not go over 100%. This has been tested with inner peace, because when you do inner peace, your mana regen becomes a lot, and your defenses also along with it. But we could test this with Fireball Barrage and then using inner peace. It was always 100%. It didn't go above 100%. The only other buff in the game right now is the upgraded Tevent wand. It is the same as the Tevent wand, but it decreases defense by 10% on the target. This works cross Vanguard. Only one person needs to have this. So that's very good news for people who's using the legendary wand, like Fury players, like invocators, and other legendary wand damage users. By not having to go this, you can get 2 wands. One upgraded one and one regular one, and put it into the legendary one. So this works cross Vanguard. Only one person in the whole Vanguard needs to have this. And that goes the same for like all debuffs on the target. That goes the same for the daggers debuff, Will Breaker from the Greatsword debuff, and Time for Punishment debuff. It is simply a dot on the target. However, Time for Punishment is, sometimes is bugged. There's sometimes it doesn't work for some reason. It doesn't. It worked for some skills and it doesn't work. This needs more testing. That's what I'm saying. So the total armor shred you can do right now. The maximum armor a target has is 1,181. The 10% is calculated first. A target has 1,180 armor, according to Aragon. I did not calculate this myself. This is straight from him. So 10% is reduced first, going down to 1,062.9. That's from Tevent. Then you have Will Breaker from Greatsword, 720 when it's fully upgraded. And it reduces it down to 342.9. Then you have the Dagger's Poison, 152, bringing us down to 190.9. And that's it, right? But there is one more thing, and I actually didn't want to say this because I'm afraid it's going to get nerfed. And it is Minezerog Daggers. Minezerog Daggers is a tier 1 dagger. Reduces the armor by 150. Until we got the upgraded Tevent, it was completely... It was nothing. It was almost useless. But with the upgraded Tevent, it brings us down to 40.9. When we pick the classes, I will mention this again, because there's only a few classes that actually can play this. They cannot use the legendary daggers because it's a tier 1. You cannot put this effect into your legendary daggers. So your main legendary has to be the other weapon. The only 2 that I know of that can use this, or actually 3, but yeah, 2, it's Dagger Wand, and then there's Greatsword Dagger. There's one more, which is Crossbow Dagger if they picked the crossbows. This is a picture of all the classes in the game right now before Orb. I'm going to start by clicking the... I'm going to mark the ones we do need. I'm not going to mark the tanks, and I'm not going to mark the healers, because, yeah. So I'm going to mark the... the ones we really need. So crossbows, staff is only damage. Spears, greatsword, bow, dagger, bow. That's the classes you want. Now I'm gonna put this as melee, because you want to try to avoid... You can only have 4 melees. That's the maximum. You cannot have more than 4 melees. On Calanthea, there you can. Yeah, you can. On Calanthea you can, but the other boss you absolutely cannot. And the more melees, the harder it becomes. So this is melee, melee, melee. What even is this? This is melee. I mean, this... you can argue that this is not melee. Yeah. Can probably play this without melee. As a ranged character. This is melee. This is melee. And this is melee. I'm going to mark the meta classes in blue. This is a meta class. This is a meta class. Oh, I just realized it's here. This why is this on the healer? Who made this? So the only real healers is this guy. You can heal with this. And you can heal with this. These are the 2 off heals. But this one is usually the healer you want, due to flash wave. If you can flash wave someone, have it tick for 10,000 a second. That is going to fully heal anyone every second. So why would you need anyone else? So yeah, looking at this in the eyes of a person who is going to invite people to a raid, you look at what your group needs, all the things I mentioned, the bow mark, you need this, you need the daggers, you need the greatsword, you need the crossbow, one crossbow for each party, and you need the SNS. Also, this is the only tank, probably, yeah, this is the only tank. Unless they buff Blood Devotion to give itself and everyone else the buff without taking damage, then another greatsword user can use it. But yeah, as you can see, a lot of these classes makes absolutely no sense. Like, I don't know about Darkblighter. Fury is okay, but this, what is that? Like, I have tested this with a friend. It is really bad. It is really, you cannot curse explosion Cordy. It is pretty bad. There is absolutely no synergy. You're better off with a dagger and have a one buff him. Spellblade is kind of a weird one. You can't melee, so this is kind of out of the question. You can only have one dagger. This is pure damage. This is okay. This is a no-go. I don't know, that I never seen his work. I really hope to see a person do good in this. Looks cool. It doesn't work. This might work. I'm gonna put a question mark here. I don't know, maybe. This is a good one. Really good DPS. Same with this one. These two, insane DPS. This has potential. This actually has potential. This one and the Outrider. But as you see, they have two green, but it's like a weird one. Can work. You can proc Cordy over and over again for like every 4 seconds. Like, but it's too green, but it's a bad class. This has to be one of the best examples. These are two greens, but you don't have enough rotation to make this work. And there's no DPS meter, so even if it was a good class, we wouldn't even know. This one is a good class. This does insane damage, but it's a melee. Right? It's a melee. Crossbow bow can be used as a healer. Like, can actually be used as a healer, but it's really hard to play. Like, extremely hard to play, even as a support or a pure DPS with bonus damage. It's super hard to play. It has to be one of, if not the hardest class to play in the whole game, is Scout. So if you can find a really good Scout, Sentinel, same as Erratic, like, I don't know, maybe. In tier 1, yeah, you know what, in tier 1 it was pretty good, but right now I don't see this working. It has no synergies. Staff synergies well with fast attacking skills, and Greatsword is a really heavy hitter. Ranger, same thing here, double green, but it doesn't make that much sense. I don't know. I think Greatsword has like 4 meter range and you're getting like 2% crit damage from the bow passive. I am going to mark This is a meta class, and it's not because of the wand, because you can have the wand. The wand is just damage. It's kind of like the staff and the spear. It is just pure damage, but it's really good. It is. You can self heal. You can buff others with yourself. It brings so much damage to the team, and along with a staff, it is. This has to be number one of the easiest class to play, but the hardest class to master. Except for these two. These two, it's pretty fucking hard. Fury. Same goes for Fury. It's a meta class. Pretty strong. Can enchanting time even more than the invocator. But the crossbow has 0 damage. So you are only using the one that's the damage compared to the staff being like 80% of the invocator's damage. So it's lower damage, higher skill curve. This one, Darkblighter, I have never seen one play one, but it can use Menezerog daggers. So there's hope for it. Ravager, insane class, can use Menezerog daggers. Probably one of the best users for it. And it has Greatsword. Greatsword is insane. Willbreaker. Da Vinci. You want a Da Vinci for each. The 15% attack speed buff for each party. And then 1 dagger per raid. Shadow Dancer and Gladiator is insane damage. Does more damage than most other classes if you're geared and skilled. But in this case, Shadow Dancer only has the daggers. So if you have another dagger users, then the Shadow Dancer doesn't do anything except for damage, while the Gladiator is a greatsword. And you want 2 or 3 greatswords, usually 3 greatswords, so you know for a fact the Willbreaker is on the target at all times. And then you have this class, which it has to be one of the most broken classes in the game right now. This has damage, and it can infinitely hold a weak point shot on the target. So your best bet is to either use... So this is for weak point shot. This is for weak point shot. Any other crossbow user, except for scout, like let's be honest, like no one plays scout. I haven't seen a scout player yet in tier 2. But Battle Weaver and Scorpion. I don't know about Scorpion, but I know I main Battle Weaver right now, and you can hold the mark. Your mark can go up to, like, it goes into infinity as long as you are good enough with it and have the right buff duration, cooldown, attack speed, everything. You can hold the 24% crit damage for the whole duration of the boss. And you can store the mark. You pop the mark when you need to skip damage phases. So you're recording with the mark 80% of the damage dealt. And whenever you need to skip something, a DPS check, your 2 Battle Weavers or more will pop their mark.
Nice.
It's block mechanic again. He's dead.
He's dead. He's dead.
Yes.
The damage, whoa, how much was that?
For hard mode, it was pretty interesting. It was a nice tool for the raid. It's a nice tool. Liberator's probably the best bow class due to it having high focus from staff, so you can mark over and over again. Liberator probably is up there in damage with Invocator. There's no DPS meter, so I like This all is just trust me, bro. I have no idea. This one, Cavalier, does work. I've seen it work, but I only see one person do it. But it does work. 100%, it does work. It's pure damage, but it does work. It kind of goes the same as Shadow Dancer. Yeah, Shadow Dancer and Cavalier is kind of the same. So yeah, this one I have no idea. Voidlands. I don't know about this one. I would like to see this work. This sounds cool on paper. A lot of mini explosions with the stabs. And Dark Blighter, I believe it can work. I have hopes. I do have hopes. I will test this eventually. I do have hopes for this one. It's a melee class though, so you're playing the game on hard mode. Now we move over to the Vanguard composition. So you have both your healers, both here and here. And then you have your tank and melee. So I included 1 dagger for the whole raid, 2 greatsword, and 2 bow users. These can be crossbow bow, or whichever bow user you have available to you. And then we have the... Can I? Yes, I can. Then you have these, which is tradable for everything else. If you're gonna swap something out, it's one of these 4. This is pure damage. All this pure damage. So if you have a melee, you put the melee up here, put melee up here, and maybe have 1 invocator each. So the invocator will buff themselves and the crossbow staff, or they can buff someone else. You need 1 crossbow. Doesn't have to be crossbow staff. Can be crossbow dagger. Can be crossbow bow. Can be anything. Can be crossbow anything, as long as they can hit the mark, the weak point shot, whenever the boss uses a fury attack. And yeah, you can remove any of these, even all of them. If you have anything, you could just remove all of them, use something else instead. Can be your friends. So like difficult mode and normal mode is very, very easy. This makes it harder if you don't have the optimal raid comp, but it's doable. In nightmare mode, I think it's pretty hard to go without a staff crossbow. Wouldn't go more than 3 melees, tops 4. Don't go more than 4 melee. You're on the second boss and then there's meteors, and then all melees get the meteors, or you're on the first boss and the fierce is coming out and you're 6 melees and everyone starts fear dancing and it's a wipe. Staff 1 just makes everything easier for the raid. It is a very easy class to play. Yeah, super easy class to play. They can buff. You can give them a target to buff themselves, buff the other, and now you have Staff crossbow with 220 skill damage boost. You have a liberator with 220 skill damage boost. You can even ask the healer to put time for punishment on the target and then swap to buff, and then have them buff a target and maybe buff a melee if you don't have enough staff ones. It's really important to have a clean HUD or HUD. This is why I always have my target down here so I can look for the debuffs. I have my buffs here, so I don't have to look further than here and listen to cues on the boss. In the Vanguard mode, you have show less, which is this block, and show more, which is 2 lines of both parties. I'd advise to have both the parties so you can see. And then if you're buffing the enchanting time or something else, it is nice to have the party also. Use beneficial skills on cursor target first. So whenever you're running, doing things, you don't know where this other person is, you just mouse over the target, enchanting time, he gets it. Now it's your turn. If you accidentally clicked someone, it can be nice to know about cancel friendly target. So in case you clicked someone, you can click this button to cancel it. There is also another button that is very nice, and it's ignore selected friendly target. If you have this activated, you will see the mouse changes. Now I cannot click any allies that is running around. I'm not able to click any allies. So if I'm trying to basic attack or click the boss, which you shouldn't do in the first place, but if you are, you won't accidentally click them. Food for the raids is going to be Argent Jelly, Undead first boss and third boss. For the second boss, you use Construct. And the reason why we use these is because of the damage resistance. 50 is like 5%, around 5%. You're also getting the boost. Then you have the HP, it's 300 health, it's something, it's not much. And clam and seafood soup. This is really strong food. You get 3% attack speed along with Scorpion Tail. It's going to give you 3% extra, that's 6%. Da Vinci 15, that's 21. There's a mushroom food that gives you 300 mana and 20 mana regen, which can be nice. It's not really needed, also it's ridiculously expensive. And then also, don't forget your mana regen potion. For the last part of this video, I'm going to go through artifacts. Artifact is pretty important, but no one likes this system. It is a really bad system. No one wants to do this. But what you really should be getting is the top left and the green solar stone. These two will give you 53 species damage boost. You want to go for the Undead for the first and the third boss, and Construct for the second boss. 53 is about 5%-ish. The species damage boost is a separate calculation from skill damage boost. So it gives way more value, but it has the same diminishing return. You want to go for max damage, undead damage boost, and heavy attack chance. The solar stone is for skipping DPS checks. It gives you base damage for 10 seconds. Compared to a blue one, no matter what it is, it can give up to 30 of undead damage boost. That is 7 extra. The 22, the 23 or 28 if you're a wand. The top right one, This also depends on the class, but you generally want 1 heavy attack evasion. For example, range heavy attack evasion. Let's see on my construct, I have range heavy attack evasion, construct damage resistance, and the last one can be anything. The bottom right one, you want it to be max damage for most classes, base damage for damage over time classes or healers. And then you want magic heavy attack chance, and then the last one is kinda free. You can go with heavy attack evasion, you can go with critical hit chance. For the bottom left one, you want mana regen and max mana for most classes. You can also go with max stamina and stamina regen with mana regen. And for the lunar stone, you always want to go for the abyssal beast. All classes has some form of control skills that will give you a steady 4% base damage. Guardians. The shield can be nice to save you. Use Rafadriel, attack speed, or this one. It's usually the best, 3%. Right now it has like 30 base damage, it's a lot. And it doesn't go away with the shield, but the shield is nice to survive stuff. And that is it for this video. I'll put the link for the Discord in the description. I'll go into more details on each specific class guides. I'll make a video for the classes I can play and the classes I know so far. And I'll go more into details on how to build them and what to build. This was more like an overview of all the classes. If you have any questions or you're wondering how any skill work, I can test it out